Goal 32 is to define and list different types of forces. So the net force is just the sum of all the forces acting on an object. Tension force is the force by a pull from a string, rope, or chain. Gravity force is also our weight force. Okay, so that's the force that attracts one object toward another. The applied force is a force applied to another object by a push, well, I should say applied force. We'll say by a person or another object. Okay, so a person is pushing something or an object moves into something, that's your applied force. The normal force is your support force, and that's exerted by some surface. And the friction force is a resistant force. So a resistance force also exerted by a surface, but this one is by the surface as an object moves across it. Okay, these are different because the normal force, an object is not necessarily in motion, all right? It's just it's a surface that helps us to not go through the ground. That's your normal force. A friction force is a drag, and it's always opposite the motion that you're moving in. So looking at these diagrams here, we want to determine the types of forces acting on an object. So if we take a look here at these two forces, in the picture, these are tension forces by the rope. Okay, so again, if we have this rope here, right, the tension forces are moving away from that. Okay, if we want to list all the forces on this box, what's happening here is this guy is moving the box along the floor. If that's the case, then the forces that we're going to be able to see are going to be the applied force, FA. That's the guy pushing on the box. The friction force, and that's because the box is moving. What else we have? The normal force. That's Fn. And the gravity force. And this one's going to be Fg. So if I were to draw a free body diagram, I have my normal force, I have my gravity force, also known as the weight force, I have the applied force, this is the direction the guy is pushing it in, and if the box is moving, Then we have the friction force as well. So these are all my forces. What are two forces of the object here at rest? So when we're looking at this object, we're looking at the object hanging on the spring. So I'm going to draw just a circle around this because there's a lot of other things happening here, but I only care particularly about this part. So the only forces acting on this string are going to be the gravity force, so Fg, which is gravity force, and Ft is the tension force. If we were to look at the free body diagram, it'd be Ft up and Fg is always down. And then what is the following, the force that's acting on anybody in free fall? The only force acting on people in free fall is the gravity force.